training partner. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners.
Welcome to Training Partners, where two fitness professionals bring you strong takes held loosely. I'm Weezy Shoemaker. I'm joined by Justin McClintock. And today we will have strong takes, but of a different flavor.
Different flavor.
A different flavor.
Not just pure vanilla we've been doling out thus far?
Oh, that's right. We haven't posted the canceled episode yet. It's coming.
It's
folks.
coming. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
coming.
So this one may never go out. We'll see how it all goes. If you're listening to this, we weathered some kind of a storm.
Congratulations on sticking it out.
Yeah, we
after
appreciate
the
it.
pitchforks have come for us. Today I thought it would be really fun to talk about your origin story, because I actually have no idea how
Oh,
you got here. And so I have some questions about that. I imagine our listeners have some questions about that. So we're going to peel back the curtain on the mystery that is Feel Strong Fitness and Justin McClintock as we know him today.
that's interesting. We didn't, you had mentioned something about origin story, this being the episode, and I said, yeah, sure, whatever, not really knowing what you were talking about. And like, I trust you, it'll be great. Like, let's do an origin story. Everyone loves an origin story. But just before we started recording, or maybe we were recording before the intro, we were talking about my previous career and your aspirations to be in journalism.
Yeah, that's right. That, I think we should just kick it right off and we'll maybe shoot the shit at the end. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, let's rock and roll.
Cool. So, exactly to the point of what we were talking about, maybe right before or during recording. I don't remember. Did you go to college?
I did. Yeah, undergrad.
Where?
UMass Amherst.
Ooh, what
Big old
did you
state school.
study?
I have a double major in theater and English
Why?
because I went to school to be an actor and potentially an actor director. That was why I went to school, to learn to study theater and to act in everything. And then I fell in love with directing and decided I want to do that either also or maybe instead of.
That's fascinating. What, do you have an MFA then?
No, MFA is a master's degree. So I have a Bachelor of Liberal Arts.
Yeah. What did the Bachelor's of Liberal Arts, like what type of, like if I'm thinking about it from like a business or journalism perspective, you have to have internships and certain like outside of the realm of studying things to do. What did that look like for you?
So are you asking like what the particular elements that made up the degree or the non-theater acting stuff I had to do?
Correct. I'm really interested in how you got to what you were doing before this, and then we'll get into how you decided not to do that anymore.
Yeah, totally.
I know that there's a turning point, and I can't wait to get into it.
So I went to school for theater, applied to a bunch of places, got into a bunch of places, ended up going to UMass overwhelmingly because I lived in Massachusetts. It was a state school. It was very affordable. And I got some scholarships, which made, I think after scholarships, tuition was like $2,300 a semester.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I got waitlisted at Brown, which I'm standing about 300 yards from. And at that time, Brown was about 30 grand a semester. So between state school prices plus some scholarships I got, it was incredibly affordable. And my parents, God bless them, were very clear with me that they were like, we are not going to go into debt for your college education. We're not going to take out a penny in loans. That's not a thing that's going to happen. So you
figure
should
it out.
figure this out. Yeah. Which I really appreciate because certainly coming out of college with a theater degree, not having debt was a huge, huge deal. Anyway, went to school for theater. Theater degree at UMass is kind of an all-encompassing theater degree. So there's people who want to be actors and want to be directors and want to be lighting designers and want to be all these things, but you have to do at least some of everything. I had to take costume design 101 and 201. I had to do, some set design stuff. I had to do a dramaturgy, which is dissecting and how you take apart a script and work and research within it and all of that stuff. Really enjoyed it, was doing it, taking the voice and the movement and the acting and all of that stuff, appearing in a bunch of stuff. I started doing improv comedy, I think, sophomore year, and performed pretty much once a week to a sold out house for 2.5 years, doing like short form, kind of whose line is it anyway comedy stuff. But to get on stage every week was really useful. As I was doing this, I started doing work study stuff. I got asked to work in the carpentry shop, which I took as a compliment, to build sets and things like that. One day I was building a set on stage, and a friend of mine rolled um, what would it be? A giant rolling cart, I guess, a cart full of plywood, maybe 20 sheets of plywood onto the deck. I think we were building a stage floor or something like that. And we went to move it, and he pulled the cart back, and I stayed still because I thought he was coming forward. Cart went back, the plywood went forward, the whole stack fell on me. Um, I jumped back, screamed, turned sideways. Everyone around me is screaming and losing their mind. Big deal. I'm okay. I have a leg trapped under some wood. My body isn't under there. The lower, my legs are under the wood. It hurts a little bit. Like 4 guys lift the whole thing off of me. I get pulled out. The person in charge, I think the technical director, wouldn't let me move because we're in a school. Hold on, we're not doing
Right.
anything. We're calling an ambulance. Chris, I don't
Right.
need an ambulance. Like, I'm okay. I think I twisted my ankle. Can I sit down and get some ice? Nope. You're getting an ambulance. Ambulance comes, takes me to the thing. Turns out I broke my ankle, which was super no fun. I didn't believe it. I made the doc show me the X-ray. I was like, no, because it didn't hurt that much. Like,
That
it
doesn't
hurt.
sound like you.
Yeah, no, come on. Me? I'm pretty sure I'm invincible, doc. Have you checked out what I've been doing? It just hasn't killed me yet. That was important for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons. That day I had been offered a job in the carpentry shop, to pay. I was doing like work study, I think maybe earning credits. I
Yeah.
had been offered like
A
actual
job
money,
job.
a job, which I needed. And the carpentry shop was in the same building as the theater department. So this would have been an extremely convenient, like go to class, go work for 2 hours, go back to class, go work for 1 hour. I was allowed to do that kind of stuff. So finally making some money. If you can't walk, you're useless in a carpentry shop. Like, I can't carry things, I can't move things, I can't take this gig. I was also appearing in a production of Romeo and Juliet at the time, where we were pretty naked, like not naked, but not wearing a whole lot. And I was playing Juliet's dad, but like a young, lithe, strong, jacked dad. Certainly wasn't supposed to be walking around with a fucking cane, which I had either a crutch or a cane. So the
Oh,
designer was like making a thing to cover my air cast that kind of looked with the costume, and a cane that we would explain as like a war wound or something, but you can't, it's R&J, so you can't just add, well, you can, but we're not adding words to Shakespeare. The director wouldn't have it. So trying to make it work. Um, all of this was going on. I couldn't take the job and I was devastated. And my girlfriend at the time, I think she was my girlfriend, either a good friend or a girlfriend, she was both, said, you could work in the lighting shop. I know it's not what you want to do, but why don't I take you down and introduce you to Mike? I need money. I just lost this job I was so excited about. I'm kind of devastated about this performance I've been working on. Great. And she walked me down to the lighting shop, and I walked in, and there was 2 other friends I had working there. I didn't know they worked there. They were friends of mine. I didn't know they were working in the lighting shop. And Mike met me, and I said, "Hi, I'm Justin. I don't know anything about electricity, but I show up on time and I learn really fast." All right. And he showed me how to wire a stage plug. He said, "Do that in the next 5." Okay. Took me about 15 minutes. And he came back as, "Oh, yeah, you're hired." That was the beginning of me becoming a professional stagehand and electrician.
wow. I have so many like tangential
Yeah,
questions
I'm down.
about that. So something else that's kind of floating in the background for me that I want to make sure we include it before we get too far ahead is what was your kind of exposure to fitness, movement, wellness prior to this? Like, was it modeled for you in any type of meaningful way, or were people in your circle like exhibiting fitness based behaviors?
The one that really stands out is my dad. My dad has been a runner as long as I've been alive, as long as I've been known it.
Mhm.
Like, dad runs. He runs most days. He does the Boston Marathon every year. He's done a number of other marathons. Like, that's what he does. When I was a little tiny kid, when I got my first big boy bike, like two-wheeler, we would go out and I would ride my bike and he would run. And that's what I would just stay with him and we do these big loops. I did cross country in high school just because, like, well, dad runs. I must be
Yeah.
okay at it. And I'm okay at it. My dad is 5'8.5". It's not a half. There's no half. And 70 pounds lighter than me probably. So he's a little more built from running than I am. But other than that, I would say really no. Like, certainly, like, movement and athleticism and dance were a big deal in theater, and being able to do that stuff was a big deal. And certainly, like, working with professional dancers, or not, maybe not professional at that time, but people who've been dancing their whole life,
Hmm.
I would try and model some of that. But
Hmm.
I didn't know anyone who at least talked about, like, having a gym membership or working out or anything like that.
Right. Well, and you're also like, not to put you on blast, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but you're a little older, right? And so, like, everything that we kind of associate as like gym culture now, that didn't exist at that point. Like,
Very different. And in that, like, things are changing and getting better way, like, my memory of gym stuff was also pretty negative. Like, I
Mhm.
went to an all boys high school. That was a big deal, especially with football, and still is a big deal with football. Like, people go to the NFL after this high school. All the Hasselbecks went there. There's a bunch of, like, famous people who went there. And so the high school gym, which I knew nothing about and didn't know how to use the weight room, but it's full of the football players. And I don't want to, like, blow your mind, but the football players in all boys high school aren't, like, the nicest, coolest, most accepting.
What?
Yeah. And
No
so
way.
it was a culture I knew I didn't want to be a part of. And I think I lumped fitness and gym stuff in with that culture because that's where those guys were, right?
Right. Right. And so, not necessarily like the people closest to you's relationship with fitness wasn't necessarily the thing that modeled your perception of it, but rather it was what you thought it was and who you thought it was for and what that felt like. And kind of a no thanks, that's not
Yeah,
something I'm
the same
interested
reason
in.
I've never been to a Dave Matthews concert, because I looked at Dave Matthews fans and was like, absolutely not. Turns out I think, like, it's kind of amazing music, but I couldn't fucking stand the people, so I wanted no part of it.
Have you heard about, I'm sure you've heard about the poop on the bridge.
Mhm.
Excellent. If anybody
Right.
listening to or watching this has not heard of that, I don't want to deprive you the pleasure of Googling Dave Matthews Band Poop Bridge. You're welcome.
I have heard that they took the fall for the opening act. That had happened and the story went out, and it was actually, it's at that Dave Matthews, at least at the time, I think they still are, was a big, big band. There's a bunch of buses,
Right.
not just one.
Right.
And the opening act's bus did this thing, but the headline went out, the Dave Matthews Tour did this, and they're not about to throw the opening act under the bus, pardon the pun, and just said,
Mm.
yep, it's unfortunate, make some apologies, make a donation, and move on.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that if you're listening to this and have no idea what we're talking about, it's going to blow your mind.
Worth the Google, yeah.
It's worth a Google. Come back. We'll be here. Um, so you didn't intend to study lighting in any type of way or to become a master of lighting craft.
Absolutely not.
How did that evolve? Like, was it pardon the pun, but like a flip of the light switch and hey, I am good at this, I enjoy it, I feel some positive reinforcement here, and I'm going to go all in on this? Or was it a little more gradual in nature?
It was slow and then fast. So I got the job in the lighting shop and was able to work pretty steadily for the last, like, 2.5 years of being at school. And it was a lot of fun. It was really like me and 3 or 4 friends would load in every show and do all of the work. And then sometimes when the study kids, the class kids had to help out, we would teach them how to do things. But we
Mhm.
were the ones who got called to do everything. And it was a really good time. Like, I was getting paid, hanging out with my friends. The guy who ran it was a genius and incredibly pleasant and treated us really well, and we would still have fun. I moved to New York the day I graduated, with a friend, like in the van, we're going to Manhattan, let's go. And very quickly realized that, I'm not about to get paid for acting work right away, which no one expected that would happen.
Right.
Finding jobs that I wanted to do, even like could tolerate doing around finding auditions and stuff was hard. And pretty quickly, a friend who had graduated the year before reached out and said, "Hey, we're loading into this theater. They need a hand. You know how to do this. Do you want to come make like $18 an hour?" Which at that point was a big
A lot
deal.
of money. Yeah.
It's like, "I'll be right down." And it was very similar. Like I showed up, there were a bunch of cool people. Everyone was nice. We worked hard and I learned some stuff I had never learned before. And the guy running it was like, "That was great. Can I call you again?" Yes, it's cool. What are
Yeah.
you doing tomorrow?
Sure.
Oh, and almost instantly I was in this not that big community of like off and off Broadway people doing lighting, and started working pretty much all of the time and loved it. Like I was learning more, I was doing cool projects, I was working cool places. The money got better and better pretty quickly. And honestly, the community was a huge part of it. Like it was this incredibly diverse, interesting bunch of really smart, really driven, really eclectic, really kind people who are also doing heavy labor and working crazy hours and doing highly technical things in what is a very stressful environment. And then, we would finish a 60-hour workday. Every single person on that call would go to the bar and sit down because everybody was friends and everybody wanted to hang out with each other. And that was my life for a couple of years in New York.
We've talked about this before. I don't know if it was recorded or not, but that in that industry and in many industries, in fact, the actual like job negotiating and next steps and climbing the ladder often happens at the bar after
Yeah,
the wrap.
100%. And those connections, like so much
Yeah.
of it is, there's a lot of technical stuff that goes on in that, niche in that career. But if you kind of know a little bit about it, I can teach you, or anyone who's good,
Yeah.
teach you how to do all the nitty gritty stuff. What I care about, and I found this managing all kinds of different people in all kinds of different industries, I would much rather have someone who I get along with well, has a good attitude, is ready to work, wants to put an effort, cares about doing a good job, knows that details matter, and doesn't know anything about the specifics of how to do the task. I can teach anyone how to do the task. But someone who's like really like turned on and gets it, that's almost impossible to teach. And you can learn that like hanging out and telling stories with someone.
Right. That's right. This makes me think back to my own experience in theater, which I was kind of on the other side of the card. We've talked about this before, but people on the podcast might not know that I broke my wrist cheerleading, and effectively, I was a base, and so that's a problem. Decided this is not going to work. Going to have to take a step back. But I love attention. So I decided to go out for the school play on a whim. I was not a part of the drama society. I'd never done anything else like that before. And I got the lead
Ah, yeah, that's right.
as a sophomore.
That's how you make friends.
And right. And everybody else, it was Woody Allen's Don't Drink the Water.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Um, and everybody else, save for one other person who actually ended up going to Syracuse and getting an MFA in theater, was a senior. Everybody else cast.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this little bitch with her broken wrist, like prances in la 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 la. And I would say that I was not received the most hospitably.
Oh,
However, the people behind the curtain never treated me with anything less than empathy, respect, kindness, accommodation. I always was more appreciative of the people that society would kind of deem like the shadow dwellers than the shiny, happy people on stage.
yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. And especially in like a high school drama department, like it's essentially a closed pool. And some of those seniors have been thinking since freshman year, like, well, I'm going to get the lead in like,
It's gonna be my time
it's
soon. And
got to be
then
me this year,
do
right?
do 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 do
It's
do.
sort of assumed that this is just what happens. And then I've been in the situation a number of times where someone kind of assumed it was going to be them either in high school or college, even like professional things where people were like, well, it's got to be so and so, right? And this sort of dark horse comes out of nowhere and crushes it and is appropriately cast, and people are so mad.
Big mad,
Yeah,
big angry.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The only person that I remember having some resistance with is the girlfriend of the male lead, who
Mm.
was also on stage crew. And I would like I remember the first like kiss practice where it was a mostly closed practice. Um, and she's kind of in the corner, like glowering at like, I don't want your boyfriend. Like, I'm not asking to do this.
Yeah, it's literally in the script.
It's literally
This is
there.
currently my job. I don't know what you want me to do. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm curious, how did that then shift to a full-time job for you? Were you always a 1099, or did this become like a more um W2 formal type arrangement?
It was so the way it works is because you're being told to show up at a very particular time at a particular place, do really specific work in a very specific way, you can't be 1099. So what I would do is get, not exaggerating, somewhere between 40 and 80 W2s a year. So every single time you show up for a new job, you sit down and fill out payroll data. So everyone shows up 20 minutes early with your copy of your driver's license and social security card, which we all just carried with us. Like, yep, here it is. Great, we can go to work. And for a 4-hour call, like an 8 a.m. to noon, that I'm doing once, and I'm never coming back to this theater for this particular show. I have to fill out payroll paperwork and get a W-2 for it.
Wow. That is wild. That is wild. How long were you living like this?
Oh, I mean, at least partly for 10 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So then when does a relationship with fitness for you enter the picture? Because I know at some point, well, I don't know this, but I'm making an assumption that likely you started participating before you started being employed.
Yeah, for sure. There were actually two kind of really particular moments, maybe three. One was, I remember I was shopping for a new cell phone and feeling kind of good about myself because I could afford to just go buy a new cell phone. I didn't need one. I just kind of wanted an upgrade. And, New York's a very expensive place to live. And I was feeling kind of cool that I was doing well enough that I could just go buy a new cell phone. We're still like well in flip phone era, but, they're expensive. And I looked across the street and there was a New York sports club, and I literally put the cell phone down and walked across the street. It's like, there's something better I can spend this money on. I'm
Oh,
going to do something. And I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nothing about it. I walked in, I said, I don't want to take classes. I just want to be left alone and work out. They said, yeah, great. Here you go. You have a membership and you can work at all these other ones. And here's the thing. I said, great. And I would go in and just do stuff. I couldn't even, I didn't pull a program from anywhere. I would just wander around and do things. I didn't know anything about form. I would just do stuff. But I felt good about doing stuff.
wow.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like an open form video game.
Yep. Totally.
Like like like
Branching
the little
paths. You're
right.
like, which way are
Yeah.
you gonna go?
Like you notice the little flickering light bulb in the corner, like, oh, I think I'll go that way.
I wonder if something's down that hallway. Oh, it turns out. So that was a moment. And I remember telling the person I was dating at the time about that little story. And they were really impressed and really proud of me. And I felt good about that too. They're like, wow, that's a big deal. Oh, yeah, I feel pretty good about it. Fast forward probably a couple of years, and I had started getting hurt at work. A lot of the
Mm.
lighting jobs I did in New York, you had to go up in a ladder or up in like a motorized lift and do all the work in the air, as opposed to like, you know, most Broadway theaters and proscenium theaters, the pipes can come down to you on like a fly system. A lot of New York is just basically a black box with the pipes in the air where you have to go attach lights and cable to. So you got to go up. And when you go up, you spend a lot of time with your arms over your head, lifting things that are somewhere between heavy and very stinking heavy all the time. It's a very physical job. And
Mhm.
my shoulders started getting hurt all the time. I was like trying to find other things to do. My shoulder doesn't work. It's affecting what I can do, where I can do. I'm declining parts of jobs. Like, hey, could I be on the ground for the next couple hours instead of in the scissor lift? Because my shoulder's really hurting. And everyone was always cool with it. But it's the kind of thing where if you can't do the job, you don't get hired. And
Right.
there's a million people waiting for your spot. So I was actually getting nervous about it. Uh, and I remember doing this. I went home and I Googled like workout programs to not get hurt at work. And
Mm.
I found, I think it was a bodybuilding.com forum talking about how they trained for the movie 300. That led to Jim Jones. And in that forum, someone just said, if you want to know where all this actually came from, you should check out CrossFit.com. And I clicked on it. And it's this old, it wasn't like the blue page, but it was an old CrossFit.com page.
QQ was still there.
Oh, 100%. Pukey was there. And we're talking, this is like 2008, 2009. And I couldn't believe the library of workouts and exercises they had up. I couldn't believe they were giving it away for free. There were thousands of videos of like, oh, this is how you squat. This is how you clean. This is how you do this. And I watched all of it. Like I'm a ravenous completist. When I find something I like, I'll just go through all of it. I watched all of it and then started doing that at the New York Sports Club.
Mm.
If you can remember a time, imagine such a thing. People would ask me what I'm doing, and I would say CrossFit, and every single person would say, "What's that?" No
Wow.
one has heard of it in Manhattan, New York. There's one CrossFit gym.
What's that?
I hadn't even discovered yet. There was one box, the black box, CrossFit New York. I was doing it at New York Sports Club. I was the asshole doing handstand push-ups against a mirror and hipping on the fucking pull-up bar in the middle of the two
Right.
table stacks with people like I'm bumping the thing around as they're trying to do bicep curls and stuff like
Right.
that. Uh, Shock and surprise, I got hurt doing cleans. I was like, oh, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. Is anyone doing CrossFit in like Midtown Manhattan? And there was a guy named Mike who ran 2 classes every morning, Monday through Friday, in the basement of a church on the east side of Midtown, CrossFit Gotham. And I said,
Oh,
hi. He said, yes, how much is it? He goes, don't, just come by and take a class and then we can talk afterwards. And they don't publish their programming. You show up and whatever's on the whiteboard is what you're doing.
right.
And day one, I think, was a 5x5 back squat and like classic CrossFit programming. That's what we're doing.
Right.
There's this big
Right.
long warm up and they're doing 5x5 back squat. That's the workout.
That's it. Oh, I love it.
The
Classic.
next day was this insane AMRAP, like a 20-part AMRAP he had put together. And he's like, come tomorrow and we'll talk after that. And I was completely impressed. There's like, 8 people in class. We had to pull all the stuff out of a closet and set up the stacks and mats and put it all the way in the closet at the end because it's in the basketball court, like a church. And I was like, all right, Mike, I want to keep coming. What does it cost? He's like, Justin, it's $200 a month. And I was sure he was going to say a week because I was like, wait a minute, I've never seen this kind of attention paid to people. I've never had someone work with me like this. I've learned more in the past 2 days than I have in the past 3 months. I thought you were going to say a week and I was still going to pay you. Yeah, 200 a month would be fine. Can I pay for the first 3 months? He was like, yeah, if you want to. I said, great. I'm going to bring you some cash tomorrow. And that's how I started CrossFit.
Wow. So, is it fair to assume that you stopped getting hurt as often at work? You were stronger, more resilient. I imagine some self confidence increased as a result of doing this. How long did that go on?
That went on. I think that went on until CrossFit Gotham moved. Mike got a place up in Yonkers, up far
Mm.
better suited for being a gym, far better location, all that stuff. But that's way far away. That's in a little commute. Because at the time I had moved up in the lighting world and I was working on Broadway a lot now. So I would go to the 6 a.m. CrossFit class, finish at 7, shower in the shower that's attached to the gym because it's next to the kids' auditorium. So there's a shower there, huge. Put my stuff in my bag, walk across Midtown Manhattan, usually grab like a bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel on the way, and show up for my 8 a.m. call at whatever Broadway theater I was working at. And that was like that was just the thing I was doing. I think I went back to New York sports clubs for a while after that because I wasn't in love with any other CrossFit, a few other CrossFit gyms that sprung up. It wasn't as good. It wasn't the same. CrossFit New York, you weren't allowed to drop weight ever because they were on the third floor of a building and there was a bunch of weird rules and their classes were always too full. I was like, I know enough. Mike had actually offered me a coaching job. The first time I got offered a coaching job was in that basement. He's like, would you ever coach like some classes? Yeah, I can't go past 7 a.m. because I have to go to work, but I could coach in the mornings. We might have you coach a couple days. And I never ended up doing it. But that was the first coaching job I got offered. But I think that was like 2.5 or 3 years of doing stuff.
Wow. So you're back to doing it on your own. You're working on Broadway. When does that start to change for you?
Which part? What do you mean?
Well, clearly we know you're not on Broadway anymore.
Yeah. So,
And so
uh,
I'm curious, like, Mike offered you a job. What is the first job that you either were offered and took or sought out? And how did that switch for you? Because we know you were enjoying your job on Broadway. You were enjoying the camaraderie. It was work that you were good at. You were fairly compensated. It was fun. When does that start to change?
Rebecca, my wife Rebecca, finished her residency at Columbia. And after residency, she was pretty sure she wanted to do a fellowship.
Hmm.
And almost all the fellowships aren't in New York. And we had a long talk. We also had this talk before she started residency because we started dating her first year of medical school. When she was applying to residencies, she said, I, I'm applying to places in New York, but I'm also applying to places not in New York.
Mm.
And, here's the top four for me. I'm not entirely sure what order they go in, but, two of them are in New York and two of them aren't. What do you want to do? I said, honestly, this is the training for the rest of your life. I'll go wherever you want to. I would rather stay in New York right now. This is just before or maybe I just start to break into Broadway. I was like, the next year is going to be a big deal for me if I stay here, but
Hmm.
that's not worth limiting your education. So do
Hmm.
whatever you want to do. And I remember sitting on the floor as she put Columbia number one and whatever Duke or something number two. And we all were pretty sure she was going to get her number one pick because she's a really smart cookie. Um, and she did. So we had this discussion 4 years before, came around again, and it's like, yeah, there's no fellowships in New York that realistically she would be able to do. There was like one that came up every once in a while, but all the stuff she wanted to do, especially really deep research, was somewhere else. And I was like, you know what? I've been crushing it the last 4 years. I feel really confident that I can work anywhere. This is a much better time for me to go somewhere else. I'll go wherever you want to go. So we went to North Carolina. She got a fellowship at UNC for a couple years. I think it was through the NIH, something like that. So I moved down there, started working, joined the local CrossFit gym. I traveled a lot for work when I lived there because the work in North Carolina was not as plentiful and paid significantly less. Like I could make 5 times what I was making in North Carolina if I traveled to Orlando or Vegas or LA and did a gig for a couple of weeks. One of the times when I went to Vegas, I actually went out a couple days early and just got my CrossFit level 1 because there was a class happening. And I was like, well, this company's already flying me to Vegas. I'm just going to move my plane ticket 2 days earlier and pay for my own hotel room for a night. And then I'm going to sneak in an L1 without having to pay for the travel. Seems like a bonus. Shortly after I came back, I didn't really tell anyone I was doing that. And the local gym, apparently, that every coaches meeting, they would have a vote on who they think the next coach should be because they really like hiring from within. And
Yeah.
you're like, hey, we had a vote and we think you should coach. I was like, oh, that's
Everybody
cool.
talked.
Like, so the way it works is you shadow for a couple days and then you start working and you work until you've paid off your level 1 that we're going to send you to. You're not going to believe this. I got it 3 months ago. What? Yeah, I just wanted to get it. I thought it'd be interesting. Oh, okay. When do you want to start? Tonight? Like, yeah, come on by. And so I worked part-time at a CrossFit local in Chapel Hill for about a year and a half.
Is that where you met Stormy?
Yeah. No, Stormy was there, but we missed each other.
Mm, okay. So you are working gig work, you're traveling quite a bit. You're living near UNC. You are coaching part-time at CrossFit Local. How how do you start to feel the nudge, or do you start to feel the nudge that you would like to make a major change?
That really happened when we moved to Philadelphia. Like, I was enjoying coaching and took it really seriously, and a lot of time, like, creating warm-ups and thinking about cues and watching videos, and like, I really, really enjoyed doing it. When we moved to so after Rebecca's fellowship ended, she got a gig in Philly. Great. Moved back to Philly, city in the Northeast. I feel very comfortable. This is gonna be great. I know I can work in a city in the Northeast. I found a gym I liked almost right away, did a bunch of drop-ins, was very impressed with the coaching at CrossFit Center City. It was in a basement and weird and dingy, but the coaching was incredible. I was like, this is better than all the other places. I'm going to stay here. Rebecca also got a membership because she was doing CrossFit at the same time. And I was trying to work in Philadelphia and finding it incredibly difficult to break into. It
Mm,
is the the Philadelphia Stagehands Union has a well-earned reputation for being very difficult in a way that lots of other stagehand unions are not. It's a lot of seniority, and I think anyone who has ever worked there understands what I'm talking about. Like, people dread bringing their tour through Philly because it's such a difficult place to work, and it's
mm,
almost impossible to break into. I tried pretty hard for about 15 months. I would say yes to any job. Oh, you're going to come in at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. to push trucks for the Justin Timberlake show, just
right.
loading it out of a stadium. Great. I'm excited to work overnight in the rain for not very much money. Great. And I could not get myself on anything like a job, despite being, uh, you know, pretty talented and having quite a resume. No one wanted to work with me. The regional theaters were excited to have me, but they paid less. That was like $15 an hour kind of stuff, and a big commute. And all of the local stuff that paid well, people pretty much like had been in those jobs for 10 to 20 years and weren't going anywhere anytime soon. And it was kind of a closed shop if you didn't have the right last name or didn't want to go
Mm,
through like a really long apprenticeship. So I was getting pretty frustrated doing a lot of traveling still. I was getting pretty frustrated traveling. We had hit the point, especially because Rebecca got the job in Philly was her first like doctor job. So her earning potential skyrocketed like in one day from like doing a fellowship thing to being a physician. There was also a lot less pressure. I felt a lot less pressure to make, significant amounts of money. And there was a year where I spent like 210 days out of town. It's like, this is too much. What's the point? This is no fun. I looked around, all the guys I was working with had 2 boats, 3 houses, a divorce, and kids that hated them. It's like, I'm not sure this is the path for me. I want to stay home more. Staying home more, I'm having a really hard time working. All of a sudden, a coach at CrossFit Center City announces he's leaving. He's going to go back to school. And I came home and sat down with Rebecca and was like, hey, um, there's a coach position opening up. I think I can make a go of this. Like, I think I can make this a career, but it involves taking a 90% pay cut. How do you feel about me taking, because it's going to be like a shift or two a week and an unpaid coaches meeting, but those shifts in that meeting are going to mean I have to say no to most of the work I'm going to get offered. Because you get offered, like, come do the show Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Like,
right.
well, I'm coaching at 7:30 to 8:30,
Coaching a CrossFit class.
and I have a noon meeting on Wednesday. Can I just come do Tuesday? Like, no, you come. What do you
No.
want? It's 3 days or nothing. Oh, and if you say no twice, you kind of don't get called again. So I saw where this was going. It's like, I think I can make a go of this at this place, but I need some time to like work it. What do you think? And she was like, well, why don't we
Well,
budget? Because we should probably sit down and see what that would look like.
oh gosh, I'm laughing. I don't want to make your origin story all about me. But we had basically the exact same conversation with our respective partners.
Yeah. I'm going to make this
Hey,
big change. I'm, I can do it. I know I
I
can do
can
it,
do it.
but it's not, it's not 6 figures out of the gate. I need to work this thing for a minute. And I see the way in, but it takes some hustle.
Right. So, what point in time is this? Is this like 2015, 2016?
Like, yeah, like 2014, 15, something like that.
Okay. So you're coaching CrossFit, you are taking it really seriously. I imagine that that is either really supported at this gym or is looked at as like, wow, Justin is like the coach to see.
There were a lot of coaches who worked there. Like, I was one of 8 or 9.
Hmm.
It was a group of people that really, really fucking cared about doing a good job. Over, like, to a person. They everyone had different styles, and there were certainly, like, people who rubbed people the wrong way about certain things and all that stuff. But the person who owned it at the time is amazing. She's still amazing. She's now a pelvic floor physical therapist who I love people too, and does a bunch of coaching. Dr. Erin Farmer, completely amazing. We should probably have her on. You'd like Erin. The And she ran a tight ship and expected, like, we would get homework, lots of coaches meetings. There'd
Hmm.
be at least once a year, we would sit down and talk about, like, how you coach pregnant people, how you talk about this, the kind of language we use, what are things we do, what are things we don't do. So it was a bunch of people who took it really seriously. Almost all the coaches went to regionals one year. Like 6 out of 8 coaches were on a team that made it to regionals. And
Sick.
so they were also like badass athletes who cared about CrossFit. And it kind of, a lot of them had come up under Erin. Like, she had hired them and they kind of like learned to be coaches under her. So it was a pretty unified vision. We had pretty high standards and everyone held to them more or less. So I was a little bit older than everyone else, as has been my tack lately, but very much accepted, and people were happy. Like, they cared as much as I did, and that was part of the reason I liked that place so much.
Right. There wasn't necessarily like one coach who's just in there eating shirtless, having just finished his own workout and rolls over to coach class.
No,
Like
there were certain
everybody took
people who
it
did
seriously.
different things with different styles, and there was like little bits here and there that, certainly looking back, I remember being like, I wish they didn't do that way, or this guy, paid maybe less attention to the attractive female people in class, paid more attention to everyone in class, kind of stuff. But overwhelmingly, a really awesome group of people, most who are still doing awesome coaching still, 10 years
Yeah.
later.
Incredible. That's rare. I can't say the same for most of the people that I knew when I got started. So, when did the tide start to turn for you in working with people more one on one?
It was a couple years in. I've been told, kind of more or less, I think I was there about a year and a half, and kind of got told that I was going to be taking over the programming for the gym. Maybe it was a little longer than that, but it was like, one of the coaches did all the programming, and they were going to be moving on somewhat soonish. And I was like, sort of told, like, it's probably going to be you. I'm not promising anything, but like, you think you should do it. Everyone thinks you should do it. You want to do it. You should probably just do it. So I became the person who was programming that. Naturally, if you are known as the person who writes the programs for the gym, people will come to you for programs. It naturally is an advertisement of itself. So people would come and say, "Hey, will you write me a squatting program? Hey, I wish my snatch was better. Hey, my gymnastics aren't really good. Can you write me something?" And I would say, "Of course I can. You know, $75 a month. Let's do this thing." And I'm send you a Google sheet. That'll be great.
Right.
And that was the beginning of it. That was like the structured, like, oh, I can get paid for this and people like value what I do part. I've always been a little bit drawn, kind of the way you talked about stagehands when you were in high school. I've always been drawn to the people who are potentially being left behind. And they're not necessarily, I don't want to make it seem like they're like, um, the island of lost children, or the island of misfit toys, or something like that, because it's not necessarily that, but it's the people who aren't being served. They came for a thing. And my experience in CrossFit classes has generally been, 85 to 90% of people are in the right place. Like,
Mhm.
they're moving, they're having a good time. It's a social outlet. Their movement's pretty good. They're enjoying it. They get high fives. It's perfect. This is exactly the right thing for them. And there's like 5 or 10% where you can just watch it and they're like, you're lost, or this isn't the right thing, or it's not doing anything for you. You've been doing the same modifications for 12 months, You
Yeah.
always skip the bike. You never do this part. You cherry pick these days because you're afraid of getting hurt. Like all of this thing isn't serving you the way it's supposed to serve you. Those are the people I hone in on right away. I could I can tell when you walk through the door, like, "Whoop, that person needs more attention. That person needs more love. We have to make sure this person doesn't get left behind or trampled or feel like they're not fit or feel like they don't belong or feel like any of that stuff." Like I'm very defensive
Right.
in the group environment, making sure that doesn't happen. And that kind of naturally transform leads into, well, you need something really specific, and I think I know how to do it. We should just do this. And so I would start writing programs for people to do in usually like in open gym time, but sometime not even inside that gym.
Okay. So you're still coaching, you're programming, you're starting to work with people a little bit one on one. When did that turn to I'm not coaching group class anymore?
That took a little while. So I got my OPEX certification, I think just before I started programming. I think it was a requirement.
Is that CCP?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they put it in my contract as a requirement of being able to be the program designer or director of programming, whatever they called me, that I would complete that course, which was really funny because I was paying for it out of my own pocket. I was like, you can't, so I'm going to do it. You can't put this in a contract. You can't insist that I go spend whatever it was, like 7 grand on education out of my own pocket as part of I don't think you can do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. That helped like formalize and really amplify the importance and the effectiveness of one-on-one programming. And then I just kind of started to pull away. Like one-on-one started getting better. There was a turning point when someone who had moved away from the gym reached out and asked if I would program for them. And I said, "Of course I will." And I submitted that to my payroll on the gym because I've always been very scared of the IRS. I know people have gotten in trouble for very small amounts of money. And so I was like, well, I know I need to pay taxes on this. So I'm just going to submit this to payroll. And the new owner of the gym came back and was like, what are you doing? What is this? Oh, I'm writing programming for so and so. Like, yeah, but they're not paying the gym. So I'm not going to I'm not going to contribute to unemployment so you can
Right.
write a program for someone who's not giving me any money. That's not going to happen. Well, but I need to pay taxes on it. And I remember where I was standing. He said, I don't know, man, maybe go form an LLC. And I went home and 4 hours later, Feel Strong existed.
How did you choose the name?
Um, Seeing what was available on websites and social media, partly. Like I knew that was going to be part of it remotely. I think the first thing I wanted was look, feel, perform. I was really like immediately. I had pretty well developed like values wise that I cared about making people feel whole, functional, active, capable,
Yeah.
all of that stuff that like, and I was kind of indifferent to the numbers. I worked with enough strong people. Like I showed you, we chatted recently about both working with Thor, Hathor Bjornsson. And it's like, when I've deadlifted next to a dude who's pulling 860 for reps, no one's going to impress me anymore. Right. Like I'm not, so like if you want a 500-pound deadlift or 600 or 700 and 800, we can work on that. But that's not the end all be all. And none of it, the numbers kind of don't matter. From a coach perspective, I want to help you be the greatest version of yourself and make sure that these goals are, short, medium, and long term. One of the questions I would ask people is like, well, do you like the way you look? Do you like the way you feel? Do you like the way you perform? We must be doing something right. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care what the number is. I don't care what the number on the scale is. I don't care what the metric is. I don't care what your Fran time is. If those three things are cool, we're good. If any of those three things aren't cool, no matter how perfect the program looks on
Right.
paper, we're probably not
We're not
winning.
good.
We need to adjust something.
Yeah.
I think I tried for look, feel, perform or some version of that first and couldn't find a version I liked. And Feel Strong came pretty quickly. Like it was literally, this is not how I would suggest anyone go about naming their business. I was just on a couch punching things into Google. I was like, yeah, that'll do. In like it was all of like 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Um, I'm really curious how your training methods and overall philosophy have evolved over the years because, you spent a lot of time in a CrossFit environment. Um, how did that start to change?
Well, a really good thing about that CrossFit environment, and I know this isn't particularly unique to that gym, but they had developed a number of other programs that were doing pretty well. Like
Yeah.
the Olympic lifting team was its own thing and did pretty well. People could take classes, but there was a bunch of people who only did Olympic lifting at Liberty Barbell Club, which happened to be within CrossFit Center City. I started a powerlifting club within Liberty Barbell Club, and that did pretty well. And there were people who only came and did powerlifting at. I started. They would let me start all kinds of stuff. I started a adult gymnastics class, very explicitly being this isn't CrossFit gymnastics. We are never going to do a kipping toes to bar. We're going to work on like press to handstands and launches and like really beautiful body control. If you can do that stuff, CrossFit gymnastics are going to be easy. And we chased like beautiful position, incredible strength, working with tempos with about like 12 to 15 people who were really down and showed up religiously 2 or 3 times a week. The gym started noticing that those 12 to 15 people just started whomping everyone else because they were so stinking strong and were so resilient and their shoulders. And we did a full wrist warm up and a full shoulder warm up and full joint warm up every single session. And they started doing that. People would just notice these things happening, but that meant I got to go really deep on Olympic weightlifting and really deep on powerlifting and really deep on gymnastics. I started a kids program. I went really deep on kids programming and doing things like that. So I got to like keep adding these things to my toolbox in a relatively deep way in that environment. I didn't have to go find people who wanted to like do powerlifting to learn more about it, because like doing it and especially coaching it, like you need to actually coach people. You can read all the books you want. I suggest reading books. I read a lot of books, but implementing it with people and watching how it works or doesn't work and figuring out the nuances really are what add to the toolbox. And that was an environment where I was given a lot of leeway and a lot of like more than enough rope to hang myself by, but it kept kind of working out and succeeding.
And allowing you to acquire new tools and potentially fail and learn from it and succeed and learn from that and sharpen coaching skills that, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, are not the whole thing required to be successful, but it's a big part of it. You could have the greatest soft skills in the world, and if you're just a terrible coach, it's not going to matter. Like eventually somebody's going to smell bullshit.
Yeah, and figuring that out and learning to like and realizing that it was happening at the time it was happening, like watching myself go from giving someone a cue after every single lift in an Olympic lifting session, and then realizing that that was the wrong way for a lot of people, and stepping back and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then giving the cue at the right moment, and watching it really change how someone moved, and then not giving them another one, just staying on that and watching it move and transform. And that actually worked better. And I've always been I tell people I'm hyper results oriented. I will do almost anything to get the result. And it doesn't have to be my idea and I don't have to be right. It's like, oh, we're trying this. Oh, that didn't work. Great. Let's try something else. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try something else. Oh, that worked. Oh, great. That's the good plan. I don't give a shit that I came up with plan A and was so proud of it. Plan C works. Plan C is the perfect plan. We'll do that. And learning that by doing it was really useful.
I'm curious if a biggest win with a client or with your coaching craft comes to mind.
It's not one, but overwhelmingly they are, and this kind of feeds into like the feel strong and like my whole coaching ethos and personality perhaps. It was the people coming and telling me that I'd like transform their lives. Like I'm thinking of someone like a trans man who joined and was very nervous joining like a banging CrossFit gym where we play rock music loud as a trans man, and getting amazing at powerlifting and getting incredibly strong and feeling significantly more comfortable in his body, because for him, adding all of this muscle and being really strong and radically changing his body composition made him feel more like the person he felt like inside. Like he presented as significantly more masculine because he fucking strong jack dude now. And that was a game changer for his entire life. It was always the like, you've given me more confidence. You've helped me overcome these things. I can do all this stuff. I can a man tried to put my luggage overhead for me and I ripped it out of his hand and did it myself. And I was so proud. Those are the things that really stuck out for me. Not the people have done incredible physical feats as part of my coaching, but those have never been the biggest wins for me.
Yeah. I can imagine too for that particular trans man client, like that life transformation can actually make him feel safer.
Very much so. And creating an environment where that was explicit, right? It wasn't a secret that he was trans. He was very open about it. Everybody knew that, yes, of course he's using the men's restroom. What the fuck are you talking about? Why would he do anything else? Move on. And being able to do that in that what feels like a little like touchy feely in an environment where like chalk is blowing around and the music is incredibly loud and weights are slamming and people are swearing and sweating and and those things coexisting side by side because they can and they should, I think
Mhm.
also contributed mightily to him feeling safe and other people realizing that this is part of fitness and what it should be.
Right. Right. It's not just affecting him, it's affecting the community, like the whole culture of the space.
Yeah. And same thing for anyone who wouldn't be like traditional fitness person, right? Like
Mhm.
you would like fit person and they don't show up, whether they're older or have different body composition or are smaller or really tall or really gangly or really all of those people were there and all of them we found ways for all of them to thrive.
Yeah. For everybody to feel welcomed and at home and that their goals are being served. And if they weren't, being able to be honest with them about.
Yeah, and find a way that it works. And sometimes it is, hey, I don't think this is the right program for you. Or I get why you want to be here. The program these people are doing is the wrong program for you. How would you feel about me writing you a program that you come and do at the same time with these people? We'll design so it'll be like the same kind of stuff, but you need to be doing something pretty special.
Right. Right. I'm curious what your biggest learning opportunity from this whole endeavor has been.
Um, that's a great question. The opportunity to do that much learning and be and create new programs and convince people that it was a good idea to do it was really important for me. Like I've always been wanting to keep learning and wanting to keep challenging myself is a really big deal.
Hmm.
And just getting those reps in. Like there's nothing like coaching a couple thousand people to really hone in on like you'll either get better at it or you won't. But putting those things side by side and making sure that I stuck by my values, that might be the most important part, making sure that it always lined up with my values, no matter what it was, whether we're like training people for a strongman competition or a CrossFit Games thing or whatever. There's lots of ways to do it, but it always has to, if it's not in line with your values, you're going to be pretty unhappy pretty quickly. And there were occasionally things that got presented or I was asked to do that I learned fairly quickly. I would just say no to. Nope, that doesn't, I'm, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not going to tell other people it's a bad idea, but I don't want to be a part of it.
Right. I'm wondering if there are anything, I'm wondering if there's anything that you said yes to that you regretted and that informed future decisions. Or did you already have like a pretty strong idea of, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to be really forthright with that from the get go?
That's a great question. I'm sure there were things I regretted doing because that's kind of how you learn. I've always
Hmm.
found those are unfortunately the things you learn the most from. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I never want to do that again, or I'll never do that kind of thing. Certainly, there were early on. There were some clients I shouldn't have said yes to because I didn't know enough about vetting clients
Hmm.
or like how to screen people. I was just like, I can help everybody. I know so much. It'll be great. Come on in.
Or I'll
Um,
figure it out.
yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, let's do it this way. Um, as it went on, it became very clear that I didn't want to be doing group classes and didn't want to be doing CrossFit and had kind of deeply fallen out of love with working in CrossFit as the way I most wanted to help people. And I could have been clear about that early on. There was also, as that gym that I worked at in Philly changed ownership, went through COVID not too terribly long afterward, and then kind of had this slow decline. And it was a not a fun place to work for quite a while. And
Yeah.
I hung on a lot longer than I probably should have, mostly due to like a lot of feelings of guilt about like being valuable. And I was constantly told that like, if you leave, I don't know what this place would do kind of stuff. And I would have gotten a lot further and gotten more reps in if I had just walked away and and done Feel Strong somewhere else rather than, and what ended up happening was we got 6 days notice the gym was closing, and suddenly I had to scramble and figure out how to do Feel Strong on my own anyway, rather than making our real plan, which would have been a lot more pleasant.
Right. Yeah. I think I met you shortly before that happened.
I think that's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you do differently besides what you just said?
I would probably speed it up a little bit. I think I
Mm.
was hesitant and almost felt like I was betraying the people who had spent so much time letting me learn, walking away from some of the group stuff. Like there was a time where I really loved it. And then I didn't love it and it wasn't fulfilling any kind of need, but I just kind of kept doing it. And the
Yeah.
going through the motions just felt worse and worse and worse. And it was piled on by like the gym not doing as well, so they're not making as much money, but I started making a lot more money, so there was some like resentment going on.
Mm.
I had two friends die within like a year, and I'm too young to have friends die, and that like had nothing to do with the gym, but just contributed to this like malaise I was kind of tromping through. Um, I would have, I probably would have done all of the weightlifting, powerlifting, gymnastics, all that stuff, and then parted ways on a very pleasant note, made a whole plan, like, this is how we're gonna get Justin out in the next 3 months, and done my own thing starting in, like, 2019.
Right. And instead, it was more like 2023 and a half. Yeah. What's your favorite part about your job now?
Ooh, that's a great question. Um, I really like connecting and communicating with people, and when I do it reasonably well, it's very exciting for me. I had
Mm.
checked in with someone yesterday who I've been working with for a long time, and had like standard coaching check and call, went through all the things. They have some stuff going on. I tried to frame what was going on from my point of view, ask some questions, listen really well, made some notes. We made a plan. Great. I love this plan. High five. See you later. You can call me anytime. And I got a note, a couple hours later that that call had been a complete game changer,
Mm.
really life changer. And this is someone who's been working with me for years.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, you did it again. This is this is why it works. Like it's
Right.
like the programming is really good, but feeling this heard and this understood and knowing that we're heading in this very particular direction means the world. And that honestly feels like, and I know lots of coaches say this, I never want to like be the special snowflake, but I think the actor training helped me with that. Like acting is listening. It's not, you can always tell when an actor's just waiting to say their fucking line or when they're listening and it's almost like they have no idea what you're going to say and they're just waiting and then they're responding and they're taking it in and it feels organic because it almost is because they're waiting to see what happens and experience it in real life, and doing that with people is the most effective way to communicate and makes them feel like a rock star because they're actually being listened to and so many people are just waiting for their time to talk.
Right. The difference between listening to understand and listening to respond.
Yeah, yeah, that's very well put. Like hear it, don't just wait to say the thing you're going to say.
Right. That's right. Um, what does your fitness look like now? Like I mean, it's been quite a journey from walking into that serendipitous location. What do you do now?
Right now, my fitness is, so I'm in the process of building what I'm calling kind of cheekily Feel Strong HQ, which is
Yeah.
my little garage gym. At time of recording, I have a bench and two adjustable dumbbells and not much else. There's a very expensive order being pulled from not too far from where you're recording, but they say it take like 6 to 8 weeks to get all this stuff to me.
Boo.
Yeah, what are you going to do? It might be faster, but I'm not holding my breath. So I'm working out at a combination of the local college gym and my garage. I'm doing kind of a bodybuilding slash athleticism program, like a lot of hypertrophy combined with a little bit of plyometrics. I'm running twice a week, one kind of shorter, one kind of longer, not because I love it, but because I want to be able to do it. And I used to love it. So I'm making myself kind of go out and prove that it's okay. And it's getting
Sure.
better and better. I'm actually, we didn't talk about this. This might be part of a shoot the shit later on, but I'm going to my first run club this evening.
Oh, we did talk about that.
I'm having a lot of feelings about, but I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. And it's going to be a thing. So I'm doing like hypertrophy with a little bit of mobility and some cardio because cardio is really important. When Feel Strong HQ is up and running, I'm really excited to get back to a little more calisthenic stuff. Like I would like to do some more like hanging core work and parallel work and maybe find a place to put the rings up. I don't know if I have a place to do like muscle up work, but at least like dips and holds and that kind of stuff, handstands. And I basically can't do that in the college gym without being a real asshole right now. So I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Right. I wonder if you have enough yard space to put up like 4x4s that are 16 feet tall or something.
That I do. I there is a place I could put it. It would be a project and I would be worried about it looking terrible.
Right.
I'm also
Yeah.
worried I suspect we have similar winters.
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of unusable for 4 or 5 months. I'm looking at it. There's not an easy way to hang them high
Yeah.
right now, but there might
Yeah.
be some options. It's also not like I don't care about doing like kipping muscle ups or anything like that. I really
Right.
care about doing strict stuff. Um, so there might be a way to do it, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Everything is figure outable. Do you think there's anything else that is important for people to know about how you got to where you are now?
I feel like you did a pretty good job, like driving that and guiding the path. I mean, finding active life certainly has transformed my ability to work with people with chronic pain and injuries. I found the what do they call it? Immersion in
Mm-hmm.
COVID
Mm-hmm.
in like lockdown. It was, like late March, early April 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and I got this ad. And I think they were doing like the first lecture that they had been charged people for. They were just giving away. They spent a bunch of time like giving stuff away in lockdown right away. I was totally impressed. Signed up for immersion was like a 13-week program where you had to show up to a meeting and do some homework. And it was like a little bit of tender work, very light sales, very light marketing, a little bit of programming, but it let me help some people right away. Like I paid for immersion with my coaching before immersion was done. And so when fast forward, whatever, probably 6 or 8 months, Sean Pastuch and Larry Geyer held a town hall to talk about this thing called ALP. And I showed up and asked some questions. And I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Can I start today? Yeah, that'd be great. That would actually help a lot right now. That'd be cool. And so that certainly transformed not only my ability to help people, but obviously my network.
Yeah. Wow. What a journey. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're here and not working on Broadway because we probably would not have met.
I agree. I agree. I think this is a pretty good life.
Yeah. But we were talking about before we hit record today that somewhere in an alternate reality there is a Weezy shoemaker who is a broadcast journalist
Mhm.
and you're the lighting person. And they're wondering like, why do we feel so familiar?
Yeah. Like we get along pretty well. You do this thing and I do this thing. You want to get out of here? And I'm like, I got a sweet house job. What are you talking about? I'm dying in these four walls. Get out of here.
Right. Right. Well, I really appreciate you being open to this pretty massive departure from what we've been doing.
Yeah, that was
Um,
fun. I did not know we were doing this.
yeah, I texted you. I had something totally different planned, and like I'm just not feeling it. It's something we'll get to at some point. But as I was looking over for my notes for today, it's like, I don't feel inspired to talk about this today. I don't. We got to do something else. So I texted you a couple of hours ago. It's like What if we do an origin story? And you said yes without having any concept of what that might mean.
Didn't know what you were talking about. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yeah, sure, great.
People
It's
love an
your
origin
week.
story.
Do whatever you want. So we know that you are building out your garage gym right now and you are in shipping purgatory. What else is new?
Well, I'm doing this run club tonight because I promised I would. And I've got like it's at the Narragansett Brewery is walking distance from my house.
Right?
And they have a big old run club that meets every Wednesday at 6 p.m. I
Love
think
it.
there's like 1, 3, 5, and 7 mile routes you can do, like all kinds of options. Uh it's the pic I follow them. It seems like a ton of people show up. Everyone's having a good time, all kinds of different people. It's not just like, you know, stick thin 23-year-olds.
Right.
And so all of the reasons I feel like I shouldn't do it or don't want to do it kind of crumble under their own logic when I'm just like, it's right there. And I mentioned it and Rebecca said, "Oh, you should do that. That's a great idea. What like going and doing fitness and meeting some people and having beer, those are like all your favorite things." Yeah, you're right. Okay,
You're right.
I'll do
Just
it.
gotta talk myself into it. That was my reaction as well.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I think I'm just like I've got all these reasons why I shouldn't do it, or it's not going to go well, or it's a bad idea. But honestly, I don't know anything, so I should follow my own advice. I had a friend this morning who was like, "Wait a minute, what would you tell someone to do?" Well, if you're going to turn around like that, you fucking asshole, and I don't want to talk to you. That's unfair. Obviously, you should go. And what's the worst that happens? I put my
Right.
headphones on. I run a mile with some other people who are running. I decide I don't want to have beer and I jog home. It's a very pleasant evening out. Like
Right.
it's still even that's going to be okay.
Right.
And I'm going to make myself to say hi to at least 5 people and we'll see.
Right. Well, and I think that was my question to you a couple of weeks ago is, hey, you're settling into this new place. You're working 100% remote now. I know you to be somebody who is outgoing and gregarious and feeds off the energy of people nearby. So, what are you doing to make sure that you interact with humans who are not your wife? And
Yeah.
you were like, well,
Sometimes I order coffee from someone. Sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Well, I
Do
look
my best
forward
to
to,
I also want to I have a sub challenge to myself to not
okay.
about what I do. The This is slightly and I'd like your advice on this actually.
Yeah.
For a number of years, I've only worn Feel Strong fitness merch when I work out.
Mm,
10 shirts or whatever, plenty to like have a rotation.
hmm.
And certainly since the gym closed, I've been like, if I'm working out somewhere, it should be. I'm representing whether I like it or not. I should just go on Front Street. I'm Feel Strong fitness. I kind of I kind of just want to be a guy. I
I
kind
do.
of I don't want to be at work. So I'm considering wearing like just some t-shirt
Yeah.
and not. I think I'm not going to wear Feel Strong stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff that isn't Feel Strong stuff that's appropriate for working out, but I'm going to put on some t-shirt. It might be like an Ali Gerber t-shirt, which is they aren't all the most appropriate, but I have one or two of those.
hmm. Hmm.
Something that isn't about what I do for a living. I think I want not like everyone's. I know I'm not going to walk in and 200 people are going to turn. I'm like, oh, do you do fitness? We're so interested. I also don't want to be the guy with like his business cards.
Right. I mean, certainly not week one, right? Like maybe eventually, because it's likely to come up at some point, right? What's maybe the first question when people meet a stranger and they have no idea what to talk about? So, what do you do?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
completely.
It's going to come up. Um, I felt like this too when we started playing pickleball is,
Yeah, sure.
hey, I don't want to be the fitness girl. Um, particularly while I'm getting the social ropes of this crew that plays together. And while I'm not very good at this either, right? Like, I don't necessarily want or need to be more on display. And I certainly don't want it to feel like, oh my God, she only joined this so that she could get more prospects.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
this feels icky. Whereas now, I don't care as much. But we've been playing consistently for 6 months. So
Yeah, I could see that. If this becomes, and I actually told Rebecca, I promised to go at least twice to this thing. So
okay.
it's not a one and done. It's at least a two and done. If it becomes a thing I do regularly and like meet some people,
Mm,
it's like if people kind of know about it, then I don't feel that weird just wearing a shirt. But I don't want to walk in with a billboard. And yeah, exactly. Even if
right.
I'm the only one who feels it, I don't want to feel it.
Even if nobody else perceives it, you then still have to like exist through that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that makes perfect sense to me. Um, so this is Walter's first full week at kindergarten,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to say that he's loving it, but for the first time ever, when he comes out in the morning after waking up, I think I'd like to get dressed for today.
Bold stand.
Bold stance. So if you ask him, like, did you have a lot of fun today? Did you make friends? What did you learn? All the replies are kind of lackadaisical, right? Like, I don't know, maybe it was fine
I don't really remember.
for mommy. I don't know. But he has to wear a collared shirt and either khakis, navy, or black bottoms.
Sure. Yep.
Um, and he is like looking forward to getting dressed.
That's a very good sign.
It's a very good
I
sign.
want to get ready because this is a thing I need to get ready for. Yep.
Yeah. And we give him the autonomy of like, what color shirt are you going to wear today? Like, are you going to wear, of course, the lime green one or some other inferior color?
Some other shade of green. We have all 10 options here.
Right. He actually only has one green shirt.
Okay. I
So
applaud the
yeah,
restraint on your part.
yes. Um, Shockingly, it's really difficult to find a lime green polo that's not like special ordered.
That is surprising, I would say.
Shocking.
Mhm.
Shocking. Truly. Particularly in like size 6
Yeah,
young
sure. Yeah,
men's.
right. She's going to grow out of in 6 months.
Right. But he's enjoying it, and Jack is now at his permanent daycare as well, and he can't quite articulate a whole lot of anything at this point. There is quite a bit more noise happening, so he's exploring talking more.
His way.
Right. A lot of what is that, and oh, like what is that? Oh, well, that's a fire truck. Oh, you don't understand that, but it's
No, but
cute.
he'll start retaining like bits and pieces of it.
Right. Right. Um, and also can't tell us that he's enjoying his time. However, at drop off, he quite literally runs in the door.
I mean, that's an amazing sign.
So, like, okay, we have had some really difficult things happen in the last six
Daycare journey has
months,
been nuts.
dude. Um, but we are confident that the choices that we made put us in the right place. And our budget is very happy as well to only be paying for one childcare now.
Right. Yeah. To suddenly have those
Right.
thousands of dollars a month back.
Right. I have regained quite literally a mortgage.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep. Huzzah!
Ah, yeah. Should we do a segment, do you think?
Yeah, let's do a segment. I have a segment. It's kind of in two parts, but it's the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
So we're going to do a thing about diets/nutrition plans and
Yeah.
workout programs and classes. I'm going to give you a set of 3. 2 of them are going to be real. One of them is going to be some shit I made up.
This is a work of art. This is bullshit.
Exactly. I'm calling this fit fad or fat fib.
I'm not repeating that.
Mm. Was it a fit fad, something that definitely happened in fitness, or a fat fib, a giant lie?
Can I say just fad or fib?
Yeah. Well, you're going to tell me which one you think is
Oh, okay. Yes.
not real. So
Sure.
I'm going to give you sets of 3. 2 are real. one is made up. Starting with some diets. And I have a tiny little description with each one. So it's not totally random, trying to like give you a little bit of help. Let me keep score here. Eh, eh, eh. Great. First one. So some diets. We have the cabbage soup diet. It was a short, super low calorie plan built around unlimited cabbage soup. We have the eggplant diet. It is a 10-day plan with unlimited cooked, unseasoned eggplant and water. We have the grapefruit diet. It pairs super low calorie meals with grapefruit or grapefruit juice because of the fat burning enzymes. Cabbage soup diet, eggplant diet, grapefruit diet.
Eggplant diet is fake.
That is correct. Eggplant diet is some shit I made up.
Yeah.
Cabbage soup diet and the grapefruit diet are both real, and there are not fat burning enzymes in grapefruit, by the way.
No, there are not.
We have the cookie diet, uses high fiber meal replacement cookies. We have the cotton ball diet, which involves soaking juice-soaked cotton balls. And we have the copper diet, where you suck on sterilized pennies for specified periods of time whenever you're hungry. Cookie diet, cotton ball diet, copper diet.
Do you eat the cotton balls?
Yes, you swallow the cotton balls.
It's the juice-soaked cotton ball.
That's correct.
Those are all preposterous.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say that pennies is fake.
That is correct. Copper diet is some shit I made up. The cotton ball diet, you swallow the cotton balls, and that fills you up, and that's part of the benefit.
Right.
Also, that's super dangerous. Don't do it. Like, these are not.
Right.
None of these are good ideas.
Do you want to have bowel surgery? Like, that strikes me as so
Blockage,
stupid.
choking, all kinds of terrible stuff.
Idiots.
Next 3 diets. We have the Peter Pan diet, where you eat based on requirements of a young child. It's supposed to help you stay forever young. We have the werewolf diet, which is fasting that's based around the phases of the moon. And we have the Sleeping Beauty diet, where you use sedatives to sleep through hunger. The Peter Pan diet, the werewolf diet, and the Sleeping Beauty diet.
Oh my God. I can quite literally picture advertisements for all 3 of these, like hypothetical. I think Sleeping Beauty's fake.
Fortunately, it's real. The Peter Pan diet is some shit I made up.
That was going to be my second guess. Werewolf is too close to like keto, carnivore, cyclical based. Like, certainly there's some man who calls himself an alpha who's following that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And has
pack leaders follow the moon.
Avatar. Yeah.
Right.
The next one, I almost didn't do this because I thought one of them might be a giveaway, but it's all right. We have the HCG diet, where you combine prescription HCG with a very low calorie diet. We have the absinthe diet, which combines both drinking diluted absinthe and drinking bread that has been soaked in absinthe. And we have the tapeworm diet, where you ingest tapeworm eggs for weight loss.
I think absinthe is fake.
That's correct. That's some shit I made up. I couldn't believe the HCG diet was a thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Last diet one, we have fruitarianism.
Mm-hmm.
You eat only raw fruit. We have tastarianism, where you lick the foods you want to eat, but you do not eat them. And we have breatharianism, where you don't eat, but you subsist only on air.
I think breatharianism is fake.
Unfortunately, it's real.
That's bullshit. Is it lickarianism?
Yeah, tastarianism.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was some shit I made up. Yeah, there have been like quote unquote famous breatharianists. Unsurprisingly, they almost always get taken down when they get like filmed in a restaurant eating a big meal. Like,
right.
Wait a minute, what the heck?
Wait a second. You're eating food.
All right, same format, but now we're talking about kind of workout programs, workout fat. First one, Prancercise, a springy,
that's real. I know that.
Rockercise, it's a workout with licensed rock songs that have been altered to be about fitness. The examples I have here are Livin' on a Stair, which is apparently a stair climber workout, and Enter Sandbag, which is some kind of sandbag workout. and jazzercise, jazz dance blended with cardio and strength training.
You've got to know that I'm going to get this. The middle one is fake.
Yeah, I was worried you would know. I wasn't sure you would know prancercise. I thought that might
Yeah,
throw off.
there's this woman who made it very popular. She was a real big real meme a few years ago.
Yep, it's true. Yeah, some of these are also based on me wondering what you were alive for and what infomercials you had access to. So some of these might be easier, some of these might
Sure.
not.
Right.
Next group, we have Taibo, which combines Taekwondo and boxing.
hmm
We have Bari Boot Camp, which mixes bar elements with high intensity, lightweight strength moves. And Yoga Lattes, a fusion of yoga and Pilates.
The middle one is fake.
That's accurate. Next one, 8-minute abs. I think does what it says, pretty obvious.
hmm
Legs to Die For. I have a note that Legs to Die For was endorsed by Tina Turner. And Buns of Steel, glute-focused workouts. 8-minute abs, Legs to Die For, Buns of Steel.
Legs to Die For is fake.
God damn it. You're right.
See, you underestimate how problematic my relationship with fitness has been over the years.
And I just didn't know, because I was like, I think that was like early 90s. So Weezy was like 1 or something.
I
Okay.
was born in 91.
Next, we have Burn It Down. Wait, am I in the right one? No, I'm in the wrong one. Hold on. That's coming. We have Stroller Strides, which is strength work designed for parents with babies in strollers, specifically. Stroller Strides. We have Sliding Scales, which are sliding moves done on socks in the living room, mostly, like sliding back and forth style at weight loss. And Silver Sneakers. It's group programming designed for senior accessibility. Stroller Strides, Sliding Scales, or Silver Sneakers.
Sliding Scales is fake.
That's correct. You're too good at this.
This is the best I've ever done on any segment ever.
That's accurate. We have Sit and Be Fit, which is also like targeting seniors and seated exercisers.
Okay.
We have Burn It Down, which is supposed to be higher intensity exercises combined with the host reading headlines from the day, which apparently would get people angry. Called it Burn It Down.
God.
And Sweatin' to the Oldies, which is cardio dance to like 50s and 60s music.
I think Sweatin' to the Oldies is fake.
Ah, no, it's not. Sweatin' to the Oldies was huge in the 80s.
Right.
Sweatin' to the Oldies, Richard Simmons, if you know who he is.
Oh,
Richard
yes.
Simmons
Very shiny, prancy man.
that's an excellent description of Richard Simmons.
Thank
Very
you.
tiny, prancy man. And did all the Sweatin' to the Oldies and licensed all the music and had made $1 million off of it. All right, last one. We have Trip Yoga, which involves microdosing LSD. We have Laughter Yoga, which combines voluntary laughter/laughing exercises. And we have Beer Yoga, yoga classes that also incorporate sipping beer during and after poses. Trip Yoga, Laughter Yoga, Beer Yoga.
I think laugh yoga is not real.
Incorrect. Trip
Wow.
Yoga.
Wow. That would have been my last choice.
I was pretty proud of that.
That's pretty good.
The Fad Fit or Fat Fib, you crushed it. 7 correct answers. And only 4 incorrect.
Wow. That's a passing grade. I'm delighted by that.
Yeah, that was incredible work. Very well done.
That's like 68%. Solid D+.
Yeah. Anyone would be happy.
Anyone. This was fun.
I had a great time. I did not know what I was walking into, but that was a good trip.
This was a good ruse. This was a nice diversion. If you liked this, if you hated it, if you were completely ambivalent to it, we would love to know that.
Please reach out about your ambivalence. Those are the comments I want most of all. Hey, I just want to tell you, it was fine.
It was fine. It was fine. It was just a neutral shade of beige.
That'd be great.
I think I've told my story on enough platforms at this point, but if people really want to hear it on here at some point, maybe we'll get into it. so that
Yeah,
there's
let us know,
one
'cause we can totally
central.
flip the table around.
Totally. Team, this has been Training Partners. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Weezy Shoemaker. That's Justin McClintock. We will see you next time.
Later, gang.
Here come your training partners, so smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners. We're ready to shine.